Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Season 4 of The Crown. So, before I do head into this review of Season 4 of The Crown, which is on Netflix, I guess spoilers? I really don't know. I mean, I've said this in the past. I don't particularly really think of well-recorded historical events being considered spoilers, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, yeah, everything I'm going to be talking about in this particular video, it's a lot of it is very well documented, and I think a lot of us know where future events will be going. So, spoilers, I guess, if you are someone who is just really paranoid and you don't want to know anything about this particular season of The Crown. But yeah. I'm very excited, you guys, to talk about this fourth season. I don't think I've ever really sat and talked about the show on my channel before. I think I've brought it up in the past, especially like on my monthly Fangirl Favorites videos. I've sometimes brought up The Crown and how much I enjoy it, but I don't think I've ever had a video just focusing on each season. So I'm very excited to do this video, you guys, because I love The Crown. I just adore it to bits. I just love learning about the royal family. I love seeing all of the chaos and the drama and the angst and, you know, some of the silliness and humor that goes on with them, because the family can be rather absurd when you think about it. Just some of the things that they say and do over the years have been rather silly and absurd. But yeah, more than anything, I just love this show. Just a lot of the really incredibly well done emotional bits more than anything. I feel like I cry every day in the episode, not gonna lie. I think I cry at least once every episode. Something always gets me. And yeah, this fourth season in particular, it was definitely really getting to me, especially because, you know, the arrival of Princess Diana this season and knowing where it will go. It's like there's just so much in this season, like, just kind of reading into, you know, and it's like, oh. So yeah, overall, season 4, an incredible, remarkable, unbelievable season, you guys. Just everything about this show. I mean, even since season 1, the show has always had top-notch quality. Everything down from the writing and the directing, the casting choices, the clothing, the costuming, the locations, just the littlest little bits of historic detail. You know, they pay attention to such little tiny things that I really appreciate about this show. And so, I mean, yeah, ever since season 1, I mean, I don't think I've had a single thing to complain about. Yeah, this season, it's the same. I don't have anything to really complain about at all. I do have a bit of a nitpick with something, but I'll kind of get into that. But overall, I really enjoyed this entire season from start to finish. Yeah, some things could be a little bit slow here or there, because I think we were all looking forward to the arrival of Princess Diana on this show, and sometimes the show will kind of stray off and, you know, go explore some other members of the royal family, and in the meantime you're thinking, I want to go back to Diana, what's going on? But yeah, sometimes there could be some stuff that's a little bit slow here or there, but not in a bad way, you know, definitely not in a bad way at all, because I still highly enjoyed every single episode. So yeah, what do we explore? I have my notes here, you guys. What do we explore exactly this season, you guys? Let me kind of go down the list here, because the focus of this season was pretty much the entire decade of the 1980s. So yeah, with that, we get the first female prime minister through Margaret Thatcher. We get the issues involving the IRA. We get the assassination of Lord Mountbatten. We get the palace break-in, which was a very interesting episode, you guys. And then, yeah, we got an episode with Princess Margaret with this big reveal of some hidden behind the scenes relatives who were like mentally handicapped, and that was a very fascinating episode. Yeah, we get a really quick thing of Prince Charles, who nearly dies in an avalanche, you guys. We don't get to actually see the avalanche occur, we just kind of hear about it through the news, and, you know, Elizabeth and Philip getting the news about it. And then, of course, obviously, the arrival of Princess Diana, which we have all been anxiously looking forward to, I think, since season 1 of this show, let's be real. So yeah, this season covers a lot, you guys, and more. There's a lot more going on than even what I just listed. There's so much that goes on, and I think sometimes a bit of a detriment that kind of happens with this show is because each season is exploring pretty much a whole decade in the lives of the royal family, and with that kind of comes some of the issues and problems that you speed through time very, very quickly. You know, you speed through the time very, very quickly. You speed through the years, and people all of a sudden kind of look a little different. They're behaving a little differently. You got children, you got random children just kind of popping up, and it's like, where'd they come from, you know? But I think this show has always handled that in a very well done manner. I think that it's not too terribly distracting, you know. I've never really sat and watched and been like, oh my god, we're jumping around too quickly, where are we at? You know, it's never been too distracting. It's like, it kind of comes with the territory of this show. You know, you're understanding as you're watching that you're pretty much exploring an entire decade with this family. You gotta get through a lot of the big stuff, and yeah, sometimes there's some things that are kind of left to the side, unfortunately. I mean, for each decade, you can most likely have multiple seasons, to be quite honest. So let me get into some of my big highlights of this season. Obviously, I think the arrival of Margaret Thatcher and Princess Diana, they are definitely two of the biggest highlights. They breathe this fresh new life into the show, because for the first 3 seasons you spent so much time with Elizabeth and Philip and the Queen Mother and Margaret, and yeah, the introduction of Charles and Anne. You know, you spent all that time with those characters, and it can almost kind of reach this point like, oh, it's getting a little stale, but just in time, you know, just in time at the arrival of a new season, you get these fresh new faces like Thatcher and Diana, and I really love them. They were definitely the highlights. Now, my one little issue, my one little complaint that I kind of briefly mentioned at the start of this video, as much as I loved seeing all this stuff going down, you know, with Thatcher and Diana, I think one big drawback is that a lot of the other characters are pushed to the side a little bit. Is it just me? I don't know if it's just me kind of feeling that way. I think the big characters that I'm specifically referring to, I think Princess Margaret, played by Helena Bonham Carter this season, and Prince Philip, played by Tobias Menzies this season. I feel like the two of them were kind of pushed to the side. Because it kind of just made me, as I was watching this particular season, I was feeling very reminiscent and rather nostalgic about, you know, the first 2 seasons, because I just really loved the performances by Vanessa Kirby, who played Princess Margaret, and Matt Smith, who played Prince Philip. I just loved their performances, and I felt like those first 2 seasons, we spent a lot of good time with Margaret and Philip, and really getting into the nitty-gritty with their characters, and I've kind of felt this way not only this season, but I think even with season 3 to some extent, but not so bad. But yeah, I kind of kept thinking, oh god, it's like you have Tobias Menzies and Helena Bonham Carter, and you're not using them. It's kind of a tragedy, in my opinion. It's like these 2 amazing performers. I think in season 3 they were used in a better manner, I think. But yeah, this season especially, it's like, okay, where's Helena Bonham Carter and Tobias Menzies? I'm missing them. I mean, at least Helena Bonham Carter, she did have the one episode, like I mentioned, there's this big reveal about, you know, the hidden mentally handicapped relatives that nobody knows about, and Princess Margaret is just shocked by this big reveal. She does have that one episode, at least. But yeah, Tobias Menzies doesn't have a thing, you guys. He don't have a thing. I mean, he kind of just pops up and he'll say something maybe silly or quirky or some little snide remark, you know. I think the best moments that Tobias Menzies does have this season are those couple scenes he does have with Princess Diana. He has the one he has the one scene, the one episode, you know, the episode called the Balmoral Test, when him and Diana are out hunting the big deer or whatever. And then, yeah, the very last episode when she's thinking about, hey, I'm splitting, and he's like, no, that's not a good idea. I mean, that's like, those two scenes in particular are like the best that Tobias Menzies got this season. But yeah, he didn't get like a whole episode to himself, unfortunately, which was a little frustrating. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? Like I said, there was so much that had to go on. You had to get all that stuff with Margaret Thatcher in there. You had to get all that stuff with young Princess Diana. And like I said, I think that was just kind of the one drawback to this season. It's like, if you want Thatcher and Diana, you gotta push some other characters to the side, unfortunately, who don't have as interesting storylines at the moment, perhaps, you know. But yeah, it's just kind of sad too, because yeah, this is the last season with a lot of these actors, you know, because we're gonna get a whole different set of actors in the next season. So it's just kind of sad that, you know, I won't be seeing Helena Bonham Carter and Tobias Menzies anymore. So yeah, like I said, that's kind of my one big issue with this particular season, but nothing like drastic and wild. Like, it made me so upset, you know, not to that point. So yeah, what else to talk about with this season? As always with this show, everything is not historically accurate. There's a lot of liberties taken. We don't know all of the intimate, detailed conversations that these people have had between each other, what they talk about in their private lives. You know, all we can kind of infer about the royal family is what is printed in magazines and newspapers, and what we see through interviews or whatever. You know, that's all we can kind of infer, really. We don't really deep down know the true personalities and most intimate thoughts of these people. So, I mean, you gotta take liberties here and there with this show in order to have really engaging, compelling episodes of television, you know, because it's a television show, and these are, even though they are based off of real people, they're also characters. You know, they're characters, and they have to have plot development, and they have to have, more than anything, they have to have character development. They have to have character development that they probably didn't realistically have during this time period, if you want to think about it that way, you know. And something that I liked in particular, because I mentioned earlier the palace break-in. This was the first time I was discovering the palace break-in. This for real happened, you guys. I was kind of shocked. My mind was blown by this reveal. The palace break-in, because after the episode had came out and people were doing like reviews about it, you know, they were going into more detail about what actually kind of happened, the more realistic things that were happening. But the show obviously doesn't do that. They have to take liberties in order to tell a very interesting story, and more than anything, a really interesting story for Queen Elizabeth, played by Olivia Colman. This is kind of her big episode where she has some really good character moments and some revelations about herself and about her country, and I think even about Margaret Thatcher. So what the Palace Break-In episode provides, it's this nice way to use this man who notoriously broke into the palace. It's a great way to use this man as kind of this point of commentary to get to Elizabeth, and for Elizabeth to kind of understand what is actually really going on in her country, how her own people actually feel, and for her to interact with a real human being. Because I like that part in the episode when the guy was like, you need to speak with normal people once once every so often. She's like, I do speak to normal people. And he's like, no, you don't. You speak to people who are kind of prearranged to speak to you and are going to grovel at your feet. And yeah, he is just your average dude, you know, speaking to her in this normal fashion. He's not sitting there bowing. He's not sitting there calling her, like, you know, like majesty and this and that. You know, he is very real and honest with her, and it's this really real moment for Elizabeth as a character, to really see what's going on in her country, speaking with this man, seeing how the people think about Margaret Thatcher and her policies, and yeah, this big huge unemployment rate that's going on in the country that she knows about on the surface, I think, but it doesn't really affect her. So I loved how, like, that episode in particular, the Palace Break-In, I liked how that episode in particular was a great way to use that event, even though it wasn't, a lot of it wasn't accurate, you know, a lot of it was kind of omitted or just kind of changed a bit, because we don't really know what their conversation was, you know, we have no idea what the conversation was between this man and Elizabeth. So it's just a nice way to comment on what's going on around the palace, and for Elizabeth to get that commentary and for her to really think, you know, it provides a great character moment for her. I had already mentioned that the highlights of the season were definitely Margaret Thatcher, played by Gillian Anderson, and Princess Diana. I kind of want to continue to kind of shout out a little bit more some of these performances. Especially Gillian Anderson's performance as Margaret Thatcher, Emma Corrin's performance as Princess Diana, and Josh O'Connor's performance as Prince Charles. Those three, especially this season. The three of them were the most complex, compelling characters this season, I think. As much as I love Princess Margaret and Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth, you know, as much as I love all those characters, this season was definitely the season for Diana, Thatcher, and Charles. And their performances, just, wow, seriously, just utterly breathtaking, beautiful, and just such, there's such a visceral reaction you get to their performances. And, I mean, I guess starting with Emma Corrin as Princess Diana, she plays Diana with just such beauty and perfection. She looks just like young Princess Diana. Her mannerisms, the way she might kind of tilt her head, the way she might kind of say a word or phrase, everything about her performance is just spot on. And she plays Diana not as like this kind of perfect human being. I think nowadays we have kind of romanticized Diana to some degree, but she was a very complex, flawed human being, and I think Emma Corrin really nails that quite perfectly. And you sympathize with Diana. You get to see her struggles with bulimia, which are very difficult to kind of watch and get through. Yeah, you get all that with her relationship with Elizabeth, with her relationship with Charles, and good Lord, don't get me started on Prince Charles this season, you guys. Josh O'Connor, he's been just gripping, seriously, for season 3 and 4, he has been utterly gripping from start to finish. It's a shame that he's going to be, who is he being replaced by next season? Is it Dominic West, which I'm a little confused about. Dominic West is way too hot to play Prince Charles, you guys. But yeah, Josh O'Connor, this season especially, wow, I mean, in some ways, I feel like he kind of turned into the villain. Something that I really have liked about this show, because, you know, back when we were first introduced to Charles in season 3, you know, we got kind of that idea that he actually really liked to do stage performances, and we saw him doing some stuff from the Shakespeare play Richard II, and kind of how the Richard II play kind of weirdly enough paralleled to Charles in some ways, and I liked how in season 3 they used that. And I like to, once again, he was playing the role of Richard II, and I like how this season, it's like Charles in some ways turns into like a classic Shakespearean villain to some degree. The way his moods and tempers kind of shift and turn, and how he treats Diana. It's like the one thing that you almost weirdly kind of admire about him is that he does just have this total, absolute devotion for Camilla, and that's it. It's like that's his end game. He is so dead set and focused on Camilla. It's like you almost kind of admire him for that he loves that woman that much. But at the same time, he totally neglects the wife that he has, and it's like, you have a family here, you know, move on. But he can't, you know, and that's what Elizabeth and Philip are constantly trying to drill into his head. And he can't, you know, he can't move on, he can't cope, he can't deal. And yeah, I think Prince Charles turns into this rather almost tragic Shakespearean villain, if you want to kind of compare him to something like that. Because he lives this fairy tale life, but he can't really truly have the fairy tale that he wants. And he can't have the woman that he wants. And so he takes it out on Diana, you know, he takes it all out on poor innocent Diana. So I just, seriously, I loved that chemistry. Seriously, Emma Corrin and Josh O'Connor had just a fiery chemistry with one another, which I freaking loved. They were absolutely amazing together. And yeah, the one, is it the last episode? I want to say it's the very last episode. I can't quite remember if it was in episode 9 or 10. And they have that conversation, and he mentions Camilla, and they're yelling back and forth. He's mentioning Camilla, and Diana's like, why should I even care about her? And then he yells at her, because I care about her, you know? And it's, oh my god, their performance, that specific scene. And what does he say? He says something about their relationship with one another, this gross, what is he, I think he says something along the lines of this gross misalliance or something. and then yeah, firing back, hey, if you have a problem, don't blame me for this, blame the people who set up this marriage, which was essentially Elizabeth and Philip, you know. But yeah, you know, Charles and Diana, they didn't have to get married. You know, they didn't have to get married, but they did. So yeah, we get this train wreck of a tragedy that happens, and yeah, the train wreck as the show goes on is just so fascinating and heartbreaking to watch. And yeah, because you know where it's going. You know exactly where it's all going to eventually lead to. And like I said, I also wanted to talk about Gillian Anderson's performance as Margaret Thatcher really quickly as well, because she was just such an incredible delight this season. Gillian Anderson plays Margaret Thatcher with such complexity as well, because my understanding of Margaret Thatcher is that she was not a very well-liked prime minister back in the day. She was highly hated, is kind of my understanding. But the way Gillian Anderson plays Margaret Thatcher, like I said, there's just such complexity and nuance there, and depth, and there are these moments that you do sympathize with her. You sympathize with her as a woman in a very male-dominated society here within, you know, the British politics system and whatnot. And yes, she's the first female prime minister. So you sympathize with her plight. You sympathize with, you know, all these men that she has to deal with, and some of the bit of sexism, you know. You sympathize with that. You sympathize with her as a woman and a mother. But then, yeah, where you start to kind of be irritated with her, where she herself almost is, she turns into a bit of a villain every so often, is those moments where she's very drastic and stern about her politics and her beliefs. You know, like, we're going to do this, you're not going to detour me from what I want to do, everybody step back, I'm the one in charge. So yeah, she kind of runs the country into the ground. She gets, yeah, there's the high unemployment, there's the war going on, you know, there's all sorts of little things kind of going on that she's blamed for and people hate her for. But at the same time, it's like you gotta kind of admire her her extreme confidence. You know, that's kind of how I kind of am trying to see her through, is trying to see her through that lens of, you know, here's a very strong, powerful woman who has this confidence, you know, and she knows what she wants, and she's going to go after what she wants no matter what, you know. But then, of course, yeah, it kind of, you know, not doing too good for the British society, obviously, for some of the things going on. But that, once again, I mean, that's what I loved about Gillian Anderson's performance, just that rich complexity with the character, that you can sympathize with her one moment and then just really hate her and be irritated with her the next minute, you know. And yeah, the scenes with her and Olivia Colman, oh my god, just two great actresses. Heaven, just pure heaven watching their performances, you guys. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on this season of The Crown. Overall, I freaking love this season. I'm sad to see this set of actors go. It's like after the first 2 seasons, I was so sad to see Claire Foy and Matt Smith and Vanessa Kirby. I was so sad to see that set go, but then I did. I fell in love with Olivia Colman and Tobias Menzies and Helena Bonham Carter. You know, I fell in love with that group, so I'm sad to see this group go. But yeah, who do we got coming up? We got Imelda Staunton coming up as Queen Elizabeth, and then Jonathan Pryce as Prince Philip. And like I said, I'm still confused about the Dominic West casting for Prince Charles. And then yeah, Elizabeth Debicki. I'm very excited for Elizabeth Debicki, who's going to be playing Diana in the next season. And I think that's all that's been cast, because I don't even think they've cast like Princess Margaret or another Princess Anne or anything like that, or even like the next Prime Minister. You know, they haven't got into some of that casting. But yeah, I'm sad to see this set go, but I'm very excited to see the next set and to see where these final 2 seasons go and where it's going to ultimately kind of conclude. You know, where exactly will it conclude? So yeah, I love this season, you guys. I'm upset it's over already. I've been waiting anxiously for it. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on this season of The Crown. In the comments below, did you guys love this season? Did you hate it? Were you kind of somewhere in the middle? What were some of your top favorite performances and moments? What were some things that kind of shocked you? Like I said, I was pretty shocked about the palace break-in, and then, yeah, even the assassination of Lord Mountbatten, you guys. I knew that he got assassinated, but I wasn't quite sure how he got assassinated, so that was kind of mind-blowing when that happened. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, so many things, you guys. So many shocking things, so many things that I was anticipating, some things that I was like, oh, I'm learning something new here. Seriously, Prince Charles, what was it, his 37th birthday celebration, and Diana did that little dance for him. That was awesome. I love that. He was so pissed off about it. Oh my god, Prince Charles, seriously. Anyway, there's so many things I could talk about, you guys. I don't have time to. This video is long enough as it is. So yeah, you guys, how did you feel about this season? Let me know all your thoughts and feelings, and I guess that's it. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.